Hello and welcome to Following On talkSPORT 2 via the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. I'm Jon Norman, and alongside former England fast bowler Steve Harmison and former New Zealand international all-rounder Anton Devcic for the next 25 minutes or so as we look back at day 3 of the third test match of 3 between New Zealand and England. And if you are waking up and you went to sleep expecting a day dominated by New Zealand, well, you're right. It's been complete one-way traffic. The only thing that has got in their way was the bad weather, which robbed us of any play before lunch. We got underway, though, at 1:30, and New Zealand set about, not quite with gusto, but with flinty-eyed determination, to score enough runs to put this game well beyond reach of England. The target when they were finally bowled out, 658. So what's that? 240, more than any side has ever successfully chased in fourth innings in the history of the game, which stretches back to the 19th century. Kane Williamson, as we all knew he would, reached century number 33. He was a top score of 156. There were runs for Darryl Mitchell, who hit 60, Santner 49, Ravindra 44, and there was late drama. Blundell, by the way, hit 44, not out. Late intrigue and interest when Tim Southey walked out to the crease ahead of Matt Henry and was given the opportunity to reach 100 sixes in Test cricket. Unfortunately, he fell short, caught on the boundary, attempting 6 number 99. But his day wasn't done because with new ball in hand and 6 overs to bowl at a very tired and beleaguered and down on their luck England batting order, he struck Ben Duckett, bowled via an inside edge for 4, and then Matt Henry did what Matt Henry has done throughout this series, and that is remove Zach Crawley, LBW, with Crawley making way for 5. Bethel and Root will come out early tomorrow, and it will be early because play will get underway at 9:30 in the UK in the PM, 10:30 AM here in New Zealand. When England bat, they may have to do so without the services of Ben Stokes, who pulled up midway through an over for the second time in the series. This time, though, it wasn't precautionary. It was because he did something to his hamstring. So that is a concern for England moving forward, and we will bring you all the updates from the England camp in and around that probably tomorrow. Anton, first up though, let's talk about how brilliantly New Zealand went about their business today. It wasn't particularly energetic or entertaining, but boy oh boy was it effective. And another century has gone the way of the leading run scorer in this series across both sides, your old mate Kane Williamson.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the most exciting cricket, you'd like to tune into and watch. It wasn't the English brand of cricket that we're currently seeing from them, but I guess it is the New Zealand style. I mean, New Zealand have got a lot of talented cricketers in this team, especially with the bat, but they don't necessarily have the power game that the English have. And I mean, Test cricket obviously can be played in different ways, and that's the way New Zealand have sort of built their game over the last wee while. And I guess it was just an opportunity for them to try and get stuck into that sort of style and work out a few things that they need to do, especially with a couple of the batters being out of form, especially the top 6 haven't scored a truckload of runs, so it was a good opportunity for them.
Harmy, there are times in life where we really do question our life decisions, and while it didn't quite get that bad, because we're very fortunate to be doing what we're doing, and it's such an amazing country to travel and tour around. You do get days in Test cricket where one team is just basically setting themselves up to then knock the opposition over. But do you think New Zealand went just a little negatively, considering they started the day the best part of 300 ahead?
I don't think they went. It's not so much negative, the right word. I mean, they got themselves in a position to win a game by playing cricket their way, like Anton said. There's more than one way you skin, the cat in Test match cricket. England have found a way in the last 2.5 years to play a brand of cricket which, does work, does work, doesn't work. I mean, there's a lot of people criticise this Basball method. But I think what we have to marvel in is, the beautiful game that we love and adore is Test match cricket. It's getting close to being ripped up by franchise cricket and the shortest format of cricket. And what we had today was a brilliant day of what you'd say is traditional Test match cricket. We had a batter who scored over 9,000 Test match runs, orchestrating innings, which, I mean, if you were here for the whole 3 Test matches, if you're one of them barmy armies, if you're Tiny, who we had a beer with the other day, him and his wife came over from England, you go away and you go, I've seen Harry Brook get 180 and I've seen Kane Williamson get 150. Not one was better than the other. Both completely different. And that's what, for me, that's what Test match cricket is all about. And that's why we love the game, because it can vary from day to day, session to session, and sometimes when England are batting, from hour to hour. And I think that, for me, is what today was. Yes, he sat here and frustrated that it didn't get on with the game, and why haven't you not declared? I'm not going to go down the old cliches that we said last night. I think if anybody can do it, England can do it. England are shot. England are shot. And in this Test match, I came over here and said England have got to win 3-0. They've got to be ruthless. They've got to be at it. They've got to be right on top of their game and everything they've done. They did that for 2 Test matches. I'm not going to criticise them because they're going to lose this one. Because in that spell of bowling in the middle of the afternoon yesterday, a bowler did something special to England and blew England away, and that was Will O'Rourke. So flip it over, and then you've got Williamson's done what Williamson's done for many, many years, and why him and Smith, who's just got 100 at the Gabba, Root, who's been fantastic and got hundreds in this series. And all of a sudden, you have to marvel in the great game. It's frustrating because when England play, you see England go and try and fast forward the game. When other people do it their way, I don't think you can criticise and say, oh, it was negative, it was slow. Yes, they're going to leave them 650. I think sometimes circumstance dictate. Yes, I would have liked New Zealand to declare probably around about the 500 mark. But I'm not going to criticise them for doing that because they have earned the right, and it's a Test match. And you are given 5 days. Sometimes when you're England, you think they're not interested in using all 5 days. New Zealand might differ, and they think they can use 5 days to win a game on a pitch which hadn't quite deteriorated.
The comedian and actor Stephen Fry was, and the former MCC president, was on talkSPORT a couple of months ago, and he went on air and he said something quite interesting. He said that, those who grew up watching cricket the 30s and 40s, 50s, would tell their kids and grandkids about watching Don Bradman bat. And, of course, in this part of the world, if you grew up in the 80s watching cricket, you would tell people about Martin Crowe batting. And maybe if you grew up in the Caribbean, you said the same thing about Viv Richards. You and many, many thousands of cricket fans in this country are going to be talking about watching Kane Williamson bat. It's the era of Kane Williamson. And I suppose when he goes out to bat, he's aware that he's not like Joe Root. He's not going to get 17 Test matches in a calendar year. He's only going to get 4 or 5. And so when he can cash in, he will cash in. And England knew it. And I think we all did. As soon as he walked out this morning, you knew he was going to go on and on and on. Now we find ourselves in a position where at some point tomorrow England will lose the 7 or 8 wickets that New Zealand need, and they will lose this Test match, and they will still celebrate because they've won the series. Ben Stokes, the injury to him, Harmy, former fast bowler yourself, how worried should we be?
I think more worried than you were for the last injury. More worried, I would say, from the knee injury. Ben Stokes he's not going to thank me for saying this, and he's getting to an age now where that superhuman Herculean effort that he puts in time after time after time, when he's fully fit, he might have to rein that in, because as you get older, your body stops working as much as what you think you are. You're 18 again, and I think what we've had in this series, I've seen him work so hard to get back fit after that knee operation, and then he does his hamstring and playing for the Superchargers, and then now you're just like, once hamstrings go and calves go and you get into your 30s, all of a sudden you've got to be careful because your body's slowing down and you are slowing down. And what we've seen over the last probably 3 test matches, and more especially over the last probably 48 hours, that Ben Stokes has pushed his body, and he's very good at pushing his body. He's pushed his body to an extreme that he hasn't pushed it with the ball for probably 3 or 4 years now. I don't think Ben Stokes has bowled the way he bowled in this test match since before his knee started really playing up, and that was before we came here in the last series. So you can't just turn it on, unfortunately, and I think it's hard to tell Ben that as he's going so many times. And I mean, at press conferences where he was asked questions about maybe it's what I had said, because he was asked one question in the press conferences when he had his knee injury, that I had said he's got to stop bowling because he's going to make serious damage to his body. I'm not advocating he stops bowling, but I think sometimes when he feels as though he's going to have to bowl them 8, 9, 10 over spells into the wind, that somebody really does have to reel him in and say, Ben, we need you so much as captain. We need you so much as the all-rounder, and we need you so much on the field. You've got to stop bowling these hard overs. Somebody else has got to put their hand up and do it for the team, and unfortunately, it's brought the brunt. And coming back from this hamstring injury, with what England have got coming up, I mean, that's him definitely now out of white ball cricket for England. For me, done. That's him done. I can't see him playing white ball cricket again. I really can't. If he plays white ball cricket, I struggle to envisage how he plays white ball cricket again. I did, because I thought he might not go to India, but he'll definitely play Champions Trophy. Brendan McCullum's back in charge. Brendan Stokes, white ball cricket, last hurrah, Champions Trophy. Now it's all about India. It's all about Ashes, and he gets prepared and ready for that. So I think, but this injury, the ramifications on that is his white ball career is finished.
News from the camp. Stokes will have a scan this evening to understand the full extent of the injury. Until we get the results of the scan, this is obviously from the ECB, we won't know, or the England team here, we won't know the extent of the injury and his involvement in the rest of the test. Let's hear from the England coach Marcus Trescothick, who spoke with talkSPORT's Scott Taylor.
So Marcus, thanks for joining us. A tough day out there in the field for you guys. To sum up today's play for us. Yeah,
another tough day. Obviously, the whole game at the moment has been pretty challenging. We haven't quite been at our best, and New Zealand have been strong. And you can see the difference when they've got it right and they've put us under pressure. So we've got a lot of work to do going into day 4, I think. So the challenge is there. We've done some amazing things as a team in recent times. The opportunity is to do something else.
And we saw Ben go off with that hamstring injury. Firstly, how is he? And secondly, how big a blow is that for the team and the balance of the team as well? Yeah,
he's pretty okay in the changing room. I think in terms of, prescribing or working out exactly what's going to happen, who knows? I think until he has a scan and they understand what it is and get the professional results and understand it. But, it's disappointing, of course it is. He's been so good at getting himself back from fitness in the previous time into Pakistan, and obviously he's been bowling quite a lot within the last couple of weeks as well. So it's just let's wait and see. Hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed and see what the results are.
I know he's the type of person to sort of lead from the front, and that showed today, but how do you sort of hold him back a little bit, because it's the second time in a few months he's had that hamstring problem?
Yeah, so. Sure. I don't know if you ever will, really. He's the type of leader that he wants to get the ball in his hand and bowl as much as he can and get stuck in, and will bowl 10 over spells. He'll bowl 25 overs a day. That's how he plays his cricket and how he always has done. I don't think you're ever really going to try and change that too much. Just look after his body, manage him well, look if, get in all the rubs and all the icing you need to do, and try and keep your fingers crossed.
And we heard Harry Brook on the stump mic joking how he's quite bored actually during the stage, and as someone who wants to sort of move the game along, what's it like watching New Zealand go about how they did today, and was that something you guys would do?
I don't think we get too drawn into what they're trying to do. We're very focused on what our approach is, and we stick to our plans, and we'll allow them to play in their own fashion and respect everything they try and do, because it's worked for many different teams to play in a different way than what we do. So, so be it. And it's just that's how they go about it. It's not something we do a great deal of, but that's not to say it doesn't work.
And just finally, looking ahead to tomorrow, your back's against the walls, as you say. What would you want to see from your team tomorrow? Because I know the common assumption would be like, oh, it's at the end of tour, but I know that's not the case. But what would you want to see from your players tomorrow?
Well, I don't think you'll see a great deal different to what we would have been if even first game of the series. We'll be aggressive. We try and chase down the runs as much as we can. We'll try and put pressure on the bowlers like we often do. So that'll be very much our mantra of how we go about it. And if we get a bit of luck here and there, a few decisions go in our favour, and we'll see what happens.
Just want to end on a positive note. As a left-hander yourself, how impressed have you been from Jacob Bethel's sort of outbreak into Test cricket and how he's performed so far in this tour? Yeah,
well, it's no surprise for me. I think having seen him a lot over the last couple of months with the white ball series that we had against Australia and then against the West Indies in the Caribbean, hence then bringing him over here and giving him the opportunity and having some good success. So delighted for him. He's going to play a major part in England cricket for a number of years to come because he is three-dimensional. He'll do lots of good jobs, but also his fielding, but mainly his batting. Obviously, he's a superb player. Really exciting to look forward to seeing him lots of times coming forward.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Cheers.
Marcus Trescothick, England coach, speaking with Scott Taylor. Actually, reminds me, we did have a rain delay. First session was wiped out, and Neil Wagner joined us in the commentary box, and he was saying how Marcus Trescothick was one of the most difficult batters he ever bowled to. And if you want to hear the remainder of that interview, it is or will be available on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel and also via the podcast feed. Last words really from yourself, Anton, before we get final thoughts from Harmy. But at some point tomorrow, New Zealand probably will win this game. But will there be a sense of frustration? We hear about matches winning catches, but those catches that went down at Christchurch, they may have lost the series.
Yeah, and it's uncharacteristic, but I guess for me, what I want to see from the Black Caps moving into tomorrow is I want to see energy throughout the whole innings. Whether they get a couple of wickets up front early or they have to grind out until lunch or tea to get the victory. I think what's important for them is how they keep their standards high, and firstly that comes with their catching, and secondly it'll come with the discipline with the ball. Tim Southey's got a big job. I'm sure he'll get a lot of overs tomorrow, and I hope that he just sticks true to what's worked for him over the years, and then with Will O'Rourke coming in, just adding that energy where need be, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing a couple of overs of spin as well. So, yeah.
And Harmy, if there to be some positives from this Test match, and of course there are always positive. Well, normally tomorrow, I suppose 100 for Bethel would be nice.
Yeah, 100 for Bethel, something special.
Another one of those Harry Brook innings. Yeah. That Wellington innings.
Yeah,
makes me smile thinking about it now, and it's been a long, long day.
It's going to be entertaining. England aren't going to die wondering, as Marcus said. They're going to play their own way, brand that will excite, will entertain. They will lose the game. They will end up being a couple of 100 runs short, 300, could be more. But see something special. Let's get one last hurrah from this team, moments off your seat. And if people want to criticise if England come out swinging and a couple of players get caught on the boundary, so be it. It's better than dying in a hole. It's better than standing there waiting for the inevitable, which is going to happen, because even in first class cricket there's no total like this ever been chased down, so England aren't going to chase it. But if Harry Brook comes out and does something special, or Joe Root does, sends the paying public away happy, then that for me will be a fitting end to end the Test match and end the Test series, especially for the England fans, because the England fans have come in numbers this last month, and to see one last big innings by one of their superstars, and if it is Jacob Bethel, wow! Zach Crawley will be under pressure, even more pressure, but it'll just be what the management want. If they can blood Jacob Bethel, he gets 96. If he was to go on and get even better than that, then I think it would be the perfect way to end what has been a good tour for England, even though it would probably end on a disappointing defeat.
You mentioned Zach Crawley there. He's not going to feature in England's white ball plans. Doesn't have an IPL contract. Won't be at the Champions Trophy. So he's not going to play a lot of cricket before May. He could probably do with a breather. He, of course, picked up an injury himself during the summer, as toured Pakistan, toured New Zealand, but I guess a spell in county cricket. He does play for Kent when he's available, but I guess a bit of Division 2 cricket. 4 or 5 games at the start of the county season, maybe in order.
That's what it looks like, unless there's a franchise tournament out there where you can go and hit some white balls around. I think a good break for Zach might be do him the world of good. Get away for some noise. Yes, he did have an injury. I don't think Zach Crawley's going anywhere anytime soon out of this team. Key backs him, McCullum backs him, Stokes back him, the team back him. So from that point of view, it could be a good welcome break and then get to county cricket and see where we get to from there.
Army, a cold beer awaits. Anton, thank you for your time today. A cold beer awaits, but possibly tomorrow night. The talkSPORT team will be heading out into Hamilton to celebrate what has been a successful series for England, no matter what happens on day 4 at Hamilton. We will be back early, 9:30 p.m. UK on talkSPORT 2 and the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. And come what may, I imagine it will be entertaining. It'll be Bethel, it'll be Root, then it'll be Brook and Pope, and maybe Stokes as well. We shall see. But at the end of a long day 3 here at Hamilton, thanks for listening or watching via the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel on talkSPORT 2. Live and exclusive coverage of New Zealand versus England. Day 4, we'll be back tomorrow. But for now, thanks for listening.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.